and welcome to Market Insight. I am Lavina Emma. Happy holidays to you. We're still in the holiday mood. So today we are tackling a critical and important issue which is impacting businesses and consumers alike. The Naira gaining and its seemingly paradoxical effect on prices. Now we've seen it all in the news. The Naira's value has increased significantly, and the Naira, right now the Central Bank of Nigeria is selling the Naira to BDCs as 1,101 Naira, which is quite a significant growth from what was happening a few months back, which was over 1,800 and 1,900 Naira. So in theory, a strong Naira should make Nigerian exports expensive, boosting production and sales. However, the reality on ground is quite different. Prices of commodities keep rising despite the Naira selling rate against the dollar. So what is going on? On today's show, we will discuss the reasons behind the Naira's depreciation and explore why prices remain stubbornly high. We'll hear from economists, business leaders, and everyday Nigerians to understand the complex interplay of factors at work. So join us after the break.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enuowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, SOUQ Enlightenment.
Welcome back. So we're still discussing with my guest. As I mentioned earlier on, we're going to be talking about the impacts of the fall of the Naira on the economy and how it's affecting prices of commodities. So to discuss this issue, I have two guests. To discuss this issue. I have one in the studio and one joining us via Zoom. So my guest in the studio this morning is Mr. Charles Fakrua. He's a chartered stockbroker and a chartered investment banker with over 20 years experience in the financial services industry. So welcome to Market Insights, Mr. Charles Fakrua.
Thank you, Lovina. It's nice being on the show.
Yes, and you know, today is a holiday. It's another Muslim holiday, which is quite interesting. And yeah, I can see we're not dressed in our usual stock exchange garb today.
Yes, the floors are closed for trading. So we need to relax.
Yes.
And of course, you know, work-life balance is key. So I think the holiday is timely. And anyway, thanks to the moon that did not appear on time. So
Yes,
we're
you
having
could say that.
one day extra. But I think I just wish all Nigerians a happy Salah celebration.
Yes, we do too at SOUQ News Television. Yes, so I also have another guest joining us via Zoom. Dr. Robert Ogbonna Ungu. He's the current special advisor to the Honorable Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation. He's also an economist and a public affairs analyst. So he's joining us via Zoom this morning on Market Insights. Market Insights, Dr. Robert Ogbonna Ungu. Please, can you unmute your microphone? Can you unmute your microphone? Okay. Okay, well, we'll get back to Dr. Robert Ungu in a short while, so we can just let him just solve the audio difficulty that he's working on right now. So I'll be talking with Mr. Charles right now. So I mentioned earlier on that we want to discuss the impacts of the fact that the Naira is selling at a much cheaper rate right now against the dollar, which is something that is really good actually compared to prices as a few weeks ago. So this is quite a good development in the country. So apart from that, the Central Bank of Nigeria is selling to BDCs at the market rate of 1,101 naira, I beg your pardon, to $1. So that's what we're going to be discussing, and how the prices are affecting commodities both in supermarkets and also our local markets too. So Mr. Charles, I have actually had this experience when I go to supermarkets, and then I've noticed the prices of foreign cereals and also foreign beverages and some fruits like strawberries, they're still selling at very high prices. And you ask the sales clerk there, now what's causing this? Why are we still having this high cost of prices? We know that the Naira is no longer reaching 1,800 and 1,900. The prices have reduced. So what's the reason for this? Why are we...
Well, it's a very simple issue. Those people, they are business people. The sales clerk will tell you it's old stock. They are still selling. And as at the time they bought those stocks, that was the price. Okay. So they have to exhaust selling these ones before going on. Okay,
let me just pause right there, please. Let's take a short break now. When we return, we will still discuss with Mr. Charles and Dr. Robert Ungu.
Broad Street. Broad Street, situated in Lagos Island, is steeped in Nigerian history. Once the biggest financial hub of the country, it housed the headquarters of major banks, linked the CBN, the stock exchange, and the loads of lender companies. Broad Street is a historically significant street. It has played a central role in the development of Lagos and history, an important commercial and administrative center for the British colonial authorities. It was also a home to some of the city's earliest modern buildings. Broad Street was a residential area in the pre-colonial era. With the British came the Methodist Boys High School in 1878 and the Broad Street Prison in 1882, renamed Freedom Park. The General Hospital, which was a British military hospital, was built in 1893, being the first general hospital in Nigeria. The old British Secretariat building, which is now the Federal Ministry of Justice, was built in 1906. Broad Street has seen a full turn into modern commercial office blocks, complexes, skyscrapers, and markets from the outer marina through Akpombo, early into the Adeniji Adele Road. Broad Street is one of the busiest streets in Nigeria on weekdays, where commercial activities take place day and night. From modern buildings to ancient structures, this street gives one a raw dose of life in Lagos. Broad Street is often referred to as Lagos Financial District. It boasts a mix of architectural styles, reflecting its long history, colonial era buildings, Victorian and Edwardian architectural features, alongside more modern skyscrapers and structures. Broad Street remains a vital, vibrant part of the Nigerian economy. Broad Street. SOUQ Enlightenment.
My name is Dr. Agility Obi.
My name is Etemari Glover. Naomi.
Well done, and shout out to SOUQ News.
Shout out to SOUQ News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching SOUQ News. Shout out to SOUQ News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching SOUQ News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to SOUQ News for your news requirements.
Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekpetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enuowa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with a daily service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, SOUQ Enlightenment.
Welcome back. So before we went on the break, I was discussing with Mr. Charles how this recent price of the Naira selling against the dollar will affect the economy and will affect prices of commodities in the economy. I also mentioned that we've noticed that for example, I have noticed that when I go to supermarkets, prices of foreign goods like cereals, beverages, wines, they're still running for the same expensive price. In fact, it looks like the attendants there have even increased the prices, or maybe the owners have increased the prices of these items. So I was discussing with Mr. Charles. Now, we've noticed that the Naira is currently selling at rates of maybe 1,180 Naira to the dollar. So why are these food items, yes, I know they are imported, why are they still selling at this high price?
Yeah, you see, when we talk about economic theories, it does not mean because a pronouncement has been made, then it takes effect immediately. It will take some time.
Yes.
And besides, it's very simple. These are old stocks that they are selling. And they've bought, according to them now, at those high rates. They've not finished selling those items.
Yes.
So they will finish selling them. Of course, it is the new inventory they are going to be getting that probably will not correspond with this naira rates you are talking. Because, I mean, this is Forex, the Forex exchange, the price of one currency against another currency. Now, trickling down to what happens day-to-day business is not going to be an overnight thing. It will take some time. That is, even if it's going to impact, and that is where we are saying government can come into, not even really government talking to this association that, look, the government is doing all it can to see that we have price stability in some basic food items or items generally. Now, what these retailers need to now do is to cooperate with government and say, okay, we have finished selling our old stocks, and these new ones we are getting at this rate of the dollar to the naira, is going to be a bit cheaper now, so we can now reduce our prices. But you see, every business person is a capitalist. They want to make profit. Again, the profit margin they are making, that's where the association can come in. I know in some local association, they have an arrangement that say, you don't sell above this. Yes, it's not written anywhere, but all the members know, even in our local market. So I think and I believe the government can do this by talking to this association, and they can also now talk to their members, because they will not want to operate at any loss.
Yes,
and if there are any opportunity for them to increase their profit margin, of course, every business person would do it. So that's why we are saying what we are saying today. Those prices will not just come down overnight.
Yes, okay. Let me also discuss with my guest via Zoom, Dr. Robert Ungu. Are you with us now, Dr. Robert?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to Markets Insight.
Yes, I am.
As I mentioned, Dr. Robert Ungu is the current special advisor to the Honorable Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation. He's also an economist and a public affairs analyst. So now, Dr. Robert, now how has the recent fall in the naira, with the selling price of the naira against the dollar, impacted different sectors of the economy?
Well, the service, debt servicing, that's the one thing is going to affect immediately, debt servicing of the country. A lot of states in Nigeria are owing a lot of money, external debt. So the reduction in the exchange rate will immediately affect, lower the amount they're going to pay to service government debt to foreign lenders. Apart from that, it will not make much of a difference in the other sectors, because, like the guest in your studio said, there's a time lag between when the price change from how long it takes to import. Let's say you're importing from China, it's going to take you to minimum of 2 months for those goods to arrive here, and there isn't enough time to make the changes. Let's not forget about the greed of regular businessmen and women. It used to be that they had old stock and the dollar price is changing, and they increased their old stock prices, saying that they need to, make enough money to buy the next consignment. Now that the dollar is falling down, then you expect them to reduce their price accordingly. But once end products go up in Nigeria, it's difficult to come down. I blame it mostly on speculation and greed. A lot of our businessmen are greedy. They want to build houses from trinkles they're selling in the market. They're not being realistic. So sometimes these prices are raised up so high, higher than it should be, not even commensurate with the increase in the dollar. And a lot of these products have nothing to do with dollar, and they still go up, increasing them. So that's one. The other one is the influence of food security in Nigeria. A lot of farmers are not going to the farm. A lot of farmers are not going to their farms sometime last year, and it's going to affect harvest of crops. Staple foods is going to be high, because you're going to have more demand than supply, and so that's where government comes in trying to stabilize the market. the current administration wanted to set up commodity boards across the country. It's going to be very helpful to have commodity boards, because what it means is the government will now buy directly from the farmers, because you know that the farmers are not direct beneficiaries of this high cost. It's usually the middlemen who buy low, sometimes they store and sell high. So establishing commodity boards is an excellent idea, and I think implementation should be done as soon as possible so that government can buy these goods and stabilize prices. It should not be left in the hands of the businessmen and women on the street. That's the other aspect. Now, anytime you have disruptions in the flow of when you start having, we're entering rainy season, and we're going to have flooding that will disrupt, supply chain. In some areas in Kogi and some other areas, you're going to get flooding. It will affect the movement of goods and services. These things are what would really affect the prices of goods and services, and not necessarily have anything to do with the price of dollar. Finally, the government policy to stop for 2-3 months foreign travel.
Okay, yes. Thank you for that, Dr. Roberts. Yes, we do appreciate your insight into this. Okay, are you back with us now, Dr. Roberts? Yes, okay, we noticed, okay, yeah, but seems to be a bit of a technical issue. Maybe it's from your network at your own end. But first of all, I'll start with Mr. Charles now. Okay, the government response to this. As you know, the government listens to the cries of citizens, and they want to actually help to improve the lives of citizens. Okay, so we'll still go back to Dr. Roberts now. Okay, I'll start with Dr. Roberts first of all. Now, what measures can the Nigerian government implement to mitigate the negative effects of this naira selling against the dollar? Yes, it's a good thing, like I mentioned earlier on, with the naira currently selling against the dollar at 1,180 naira, which is quite good compared to past prices in a few months ago. But now, to avoid any negative effects of this situation right now, what can the government do to make sure this is all good all the way? We've talked about price control, but how effective can something like that be? So, okay, let me start with you, Mr. Charles, then I'll move on to Dr. Roberts.
Yes, the government response, like I have said earlier, in the marketplace, demand and supply is key. And that interplay, your guest said, approaching rainy season, production, that is the supply.
Yes, yes.
Once there is an issue concerning the supply, you have less supply, there is more demand. Of course, prices of most basic items will go up. Now we are talking about agricultural items, food items. How many Nigerians are able to go to the farm? We even see places like Benue State. We have a lot of IDP camps. People have been driven out of their ancestral homes. People cannot access their farmland. And once they cannot access their farmland, of course, production is going to be reduced. And when that is reduced, what gets to the market? You'll be seeing so many persons chasing these few commodities in the market. Of course, the prices will go up. So, and again, the climate issue he has mentioned, we are talking about flooding. But for me, the issue of flooding should not be a problem, because we have all the agencies to warn our farmers. All the technology is there. Because I must say, practical experience in my village, when they experienced that flooding, they were expecting another flooding will come, but not as devastating as the one that happened in 2022. So, but they were already planning, and I could see that even in those their local area, the yam bands that they had, they increased the heights so that when the flood will come, it will not destroy some of their crops, especially yam. So you can see that we have to be proactive. We cannot say because of flooding, climate issue, then production of these basic food items will not come to the market. We're talking of food security, and we have said that is now under the purview of national security. Yes. And when something is under national security, that means it's of utmost importance. And I expect the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Environment, maybe Water Resources, Ministry of Science and Technology, then of course, maybe is it Ministry of maybe Finance now, to see that there's a lot of collaboration to ensure that we are using high improved seed varieties, whether it is livestock, whether it is a crop production or other aspects of agriculture, fishery and all that. We should continue to boost and increase in production. The issue of security, for me, that can be taken care of. And as we speak, arrangements are even made now to ensure that we have farming all throughout the year. We're not going to be waiting that, yes, naturally and even traditionally, our people in the villages, they know when is their planting season. You can't teach them that.
Well, you know, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, you know, they still give updates or forecasts rather to help farmers. So I think that collaboration to promote
it has to be there, synergy.
Yes, to actually ensure that, okay,
there
might be a flood, please be aware of this.
Be proactive, these are things you need to do and all that.
Yes,
you know, that do not even disrupt your farming activities. So I believe that when all that is done, the production side, supply side will be taken care of. And of course, we will see stability in the prices of food items.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Yes, Dr. Robert Ungu, are you with us now? Thank you for joining us. Yes, so yes, I just discussed with Mr. Charles. Yes, he mentioned ways by which the government can actually mitigate the situation to avoid any negative effects of the Naira's, how the Naira is selling against the dollar and other foreign currencies. So now, the road ahead now. Now, what do you think is the long-term outlook for the Naira and in the Nigerian economy, actually? Because we want a situation whereby the Nigerian government can put certain measures in place to forestall any negative effects of this. Now, and most analysts are predicting that the Naira can still go further down. It could still perhaps to as low as maybe 500 Naira to $1, which is something that will help our economy. So what's the long-term outlook for the Naira and the Nigerian economy?
It's looking great for the Naira for many reasons. One, government has a temporary ban on foreign travel by civil servants. 2-3 months, they may extend it. It has an immediate effect on the price of dollar. And then government is also clamping down on banks as well as on the Biridi changes. They're really clamping down and using their regulatory power to clamp down on these. You mentioned about food security and you talked about government doing something about biotechnology. The Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology came up with something you call Tailor Maize. Tailor Maize is a high improved variety crop that is has increased the yield from 2 metric tons per hectare to 15-20 metric tons per hectare. That Tailor Maize is going to go commercial this April, and we are hoping that government will invest more money to increase the quantity so that it will go around all the local governments in Nigeria. When that happens, the issue of maize is a staple product in Nigeria, and it will end we even end up exporting maize. You talk about other products that are also on the table from the Biotechnology Research Agency. These are the things government is really putting money. So these things are important. Government is really conscious of this because it will help. In the issue of national security, the government is also making a lot of effort in the area of satellites. The current administration has plans to launch satellites that will really help with our security and will also help even with the flood warnings. You know, right now we don't have that capacity, but I believe that in the next 1 year or less than 1 year, that the government will be fully equipped to take care of these issues. So these are the things that I see happening and the things government is doing to checkmate this. Once you have you use your regulatory power to clamp down on banks, on Biridi changes, it will help a lot. It will go a long way to really do this. And also the stuff I talked about, commodity boards, they're extremely important because the commodity boards will really help to stabilize the prices. the artificial increase in prices. Normally, the farmers don't benefit from this high increase in prices. It's usually the middlemen, people who store these things. And don't forget about Dangote refinery that is now coming on stream. The diesel and refined product is now, you're going to buy them in Nigeria now. So a lot of the pressure on our currency is coming from the imported refined goods. Now Dangote is going to be taking care of these local needs. That will go a long way to strengthen the Naira.
Thank you for that. Yes, and yeah, you also mentioned that creating this government commodity board to actually help to stabilize food prices, which will be helpful in the future, actually. So we hope these things can actually be implemented. So, Dr. Roberts, now this is for you. So, yes, most businesses, either way we want to put it, we know they actually benefited from during the period where the Naira was selling at 1,800 and 1,900 to $1. So now that it's selling for as low as 1,180 Naira to $1, so what strategies can Nigerian businesses adopt to navigate the economic environment right now? Because yes, people will say, oh, back then we had to buy in this amount because some speculators predicted that it might go higher to maybe 2,000 or 3,000, but it came down, which was quite good. So what strategies can Nigerian businesses adopt to navigate the economic environment shaped by this current situation of the Naira selling at 1,180 Naira to $1?
Well, manufacturing, local manufacturing, because this is going to encourage local manufacturing. A lot of people are going back to see how they can produce, knowing that when it's now unaffordable to import. And so in the law, these things add up to increase our manufacturing capacity. A lot of companies, government is also helping by going out of its way to come up with what you call Executive Order Number 5. What it means is that procurement from government agencies, if there's somebody producing it locally, you're not allowed to import it. When this is fully implemented, it's going to go a long way in checkmating and will also encourage not only checkmating the importation of things that are already produced in Nigeria, but it will also encourage people to produce locally. So made in Nigeria is the words we are all using now. We have the capacity to produce locally. And when that begins to catch fire, it will help it will go a long way. That also means we have to increase the power, production of power, which is why the NEC approved the increase in Band A of some of the electric demands from the consumers. The essence is to encourage people to invest more to increase our local production of electricity. That will go a long way because most of the costs for businesses are usually on the issue of power consumption. That's more than 50% of most of the cost of production goes on power. And also, we also invest, this would also encourage people to invest more on renewable products, renewable energy. Because once this goes up, people will be cheaper in the long run to invest on renewable energy like solar, mixture of wind, depends on where you are in the country. All these things have a way of strengthening the Naira. So these are the things the government is currently doing, and we continue putting our eyes on the ball to check some of these excesses from the greed of some of our businessmen. And they're not unusual. Businessmen all over the world will behave the same way if there's no regulation, if there's no control. So government must go out of its way to make sure that they checkmate these excesses from our businessmen and women.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Roberts. I'll come back to you shortly because you mentioned we need to manufacture more often. We need to increase production of our local goods. And we know we have a very serious challenge in that area in Nigeria, and that's the power sector, which I feel more enlightenment needs to be done to educate people on the renewable energy options and make it cheaper and more affordable to more Nigerians, particularly the small business owners, actually. But before I get back to you on that, Dr. Roberts, Mr. Charles, now we heard what Dr. Roberts said. So do you think there are any potential hidden consequences of the Naira's fall that businesses should be aware of, actually? Because, yes, like Dr. Roberts mentioned, yes, the government is putting regulations in for us so that this thing doesn't spiral out of control. But should there be any consequences, hidden consequences that business owners should be aware of?
For the improvement in the value of our currency?
Yes, yes.
The consequences I see, or the consequence I see moving forward, is an improved economy. Once, you see, we are talking of your national currency. And I keep saying, even in personal finance, it is called currency. It is currency. And electricity is currency. So it is very, very important that every government all over the world will ensure that their national currency is not just an identity, but it says this is who we are. This is Nigeria. And that's why you see that when you abuse the Naira, there are consequences. So we want a stronger Naira. And the CBN, like we have just said, they are doing everything humanly possible to see that the value of the Naira gets to a level where me and you as Nigerians will be proud of that currency. But again, it is not just going to be backed up by just mere pronouncement. It has to be backed up by real production. Yes, some people have said the controlling the currency, the exchange rate, CBN, is an intervention mechanism. How sustainable is that? They are saying CBN is even defending the Naira. We are even using some of our reserves. How long will you continue to do that? The reserve will keep depleting. So, and I'm very sure that the managers of our economy are aware of that. And that is why we need to go back to production. The doctor have said production, production, production. Manufacturing, manufacturing, manufacturing. At the same time, power. Power. We must, you see, each time this issue comes up, I don't care whether it is band A or it is band Z or band anything. You can't be talking of mere 3,000 megawatts of electricity for a people of over 220 million Nigerians. In fact, over the weekend, I was complaining to somebody who was talking to me from abroad, and I have an energy challenge. There is energy poverty in the country today. Yes, because they were ready to speak for us as long as possible. And I said, my phone battery is going down. They say, why? I said, because I have not had power for almost a week. So you can see. So if we have enough supply of this electricity, then we will not be talking of band A or band B. But again, government has a responsibility all over the world. When it comes to utility, you can see that government subsidizes. So we should not pretend about it. But what we are saying is, yes, the rich people will have to pay more because they will be consuming more. So that is the concept of this band A. When you get power 20 hours or more than in a day, then you pay more compared to somebody who gets maybe 1 hour in a day. But for me, the essence is, what do we now do? Moving forward, improving our economy, we must increase our energy supply. Now, we haven't talked of energy mix, not only from electricity. We say gas. Our gencos are using gas to power, they generate. You have mentioned it here several times. Solar, wind, water. We need to have the right energy mix. And thank God, we signed into law the Electricity Act of 2023, where they are now saying even private individuals can generate electricity. But I'm even surprised because I know that long ago there are some estates, even in Abuja and in Lagos here, they don't even think about the national grid. They generate their own electricity for their consumption. You know, now it's also a very funny story to hear that meters are scarce. You don't have meter. We can't move forward. Well, like I said earlier, when you are talking of generation of this power, transmission of this power, distribution of this power, and of course the metering, the consumption is key. You know, for me, we are privileged to have meter, you know, prepaid. And so we are not worried. For the 1 week I don't have light, I know that my card is not reading. But what about those who are talking of estimated? For me, that is criminal. The government should do all it can right now to ensure that at least 80 to 90% of Nigerians are metered, so that I can control what I consume. and I should pay for what I am consuming. So for us to moving forward in terms of the dollar, we need to increase production, and for you to talk of any industrial development, power supply is key.
Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Yes, I understand what you are saying. And yes, power is actually key to increase local production in the country. So, Dr. Robert Ungu, are you with us? Yes, yes, you heard what my guest in the studio said, Mr. Charles. Yes, we know we have been having these issues with power right now. And even, yes, we heard what NERC did, NERC, by increasing electricity tariff consumption for Band A consumers. But in spite of that, we still have a lot of Nigerians complaining about not seeing this light in it, even when you increase the electricity tariff. So that's a very serious issue. And then renewable energy options, you mentioned that, but how affordable are these renewable energy options? Because if you want an increase in our local production to help the Naira, how it's selling against the dollar, we have to be manufacturing more of our local goods. And if we need power to do these things, and if we can't get sufficient electricity and we have to move to another energy source, how affordable is it? As you know, people use solar panels in most urban centers in Nigeria, but it's quite expensive. And in the rural areas, it's not an easy item for them to get these solar panels because it's really expensive. So what are your thoughts on this, Dr. Roberts?
Okay, this is where government comes in. Let me give you some interesting statistics. If you lay solar panels in 7% of land in Nigeria, you're going to generate 1 million megawatts. Currently, we have 3,000 megawatts, and we have land. We have sun every day from morning till night. This is where government comes in, and I believe the government has plans to invest significantly in the area of renewable energy for many reasons. The whole world is looking that direction. Let our products go into other refined products, and we can't be a country that produces oil and we end up importing refined products. That's why I'm so glad that Dangote Refinery is on stream, and is going to help a long way to help with that, because he's coming up with also some. He's going to be adding to the generation of electricity from the gas he's producing from there. Then, but the government would need to step in financing some of these solar projects, because they are cheap in the long run, but their short run cost is significant. So this is where government can come in and subsidize acquisition of these panels in form of mini grids and microgrids. If estates are stationed in a way where the power is generated and supplied to those estates, where you have industrial clusters, so you produce and you channel focus to those independent industrial clusters, it's going to go a long way in improving the power supply in Nigeria. So yes, I agree with the speaker about the need for renewable energy, but I also believe that the government will have to subsidize some of these short-term costs, and the people will be charged in the long run to pay for it, just like they're currently doing. If you meter it, you just have the right environment, have the right investment, meter it. People will gladly pay for power in this country. And so, especially the issue of a mixture of solar and batteries. That's where the whole world is going now. And I believe Nigeria is in such a strategic position, considering our position on the equator. The sun is up every day from morning till night, especially if you go towards the north, even around Abuja and North Central. The sun is so high that even the cost of panels, the cost of generating renewable energy is even less in those areas because of the high intensity of the sun. Elsewhere around Nigeria, with the right, it's going to cost more, but you still have the solution compared to all these other countries that don't have enough electricity. If you go to a place like Germany, they don't have enough sun, but they generate way more than we generate in 10 years. They generate it in one day. And so We hope that government will invest in that area to reduce the cost for consumers and just charge them for long run.
Okay, and also an increase in megawatts distribution in the country is something that is urgently needed to enhance our local production. So now what structural, I'll start with Mr. Charles first, now what structural changes are needed in the Nigerian economy to ensure sustainable growth independent of this foreign exchange rate, the Naira's foreign exchange rate?
Sustaining the price stability of the Naira. That's your question?
Yes, yes.
Now, it's all what we have been talking. How do you ensure your national currency when you are inviting or you are trying to attract foreign investors? Your national currency in terms of pricing should be a bit stable so that they can plan with it. If I'm a foreign investor and I'm coming to a country or an area, I will want to say, okay, I'm coming in maybe with $100 million. And this is when I'm going to start my business. Maybe the next 2-3 years, I'll break even and I'll start making profit. So I should be able to predict the price of that currency maybe in 2-3 years, at least, relative stability. Not when, in fact, I think even this year, we were seeing dollar and we were scared that it was going to get to about 2,000, so even saying 3,000 naira per dollar. And you can see that volatility. It cannot give room for real planning. So what the government needs to do now in terms of sustaining the stability of the price of our national currency, which is the Naira. We have mentioned production. We can't go, we can't do anything about that. We must produce, and our product must be competitive internationally, because we're having some issues with that, you know. And I have had the opportunity of meeting some exporters. They say when they export certain produce from Nigeria here, especially the Eurozone, they will say some of our products don't meet international standard. So, and that's where we are saying the Nigerian Export Promotion Council should talk to exporters, do trainings for them, teach them about quality of what you are going to export, so that it meets the needs of international markets. That is when we are sure of receiving foreign currency, and that will go a long way in stabilizing the price of our national currency. Above all these measures, good, we are going to be embarking upon. The doctor also said this, government is trying to invest in power and all that, you know. But our attitude is key. Do we believe in Nigeria? Do we believe that it is not by chance we are Nigerians? Do we believe that we all have a role to play to ensure that we make this country a better place? Or we're not saying, oh, it's an APC problem, or it's a Tinubu issue. For me, I think we should go beyond those mundane issues now. We have a country, and our country is sliding downward, and we need, in fact, I have not seen the kind of hunger I am seeing today, now in this, especially in Lagos. As I was coming between my place, first start to this studio, I was amazed as to the amount of people who are begging, well-dressed young men and women who were begging just to say, let me feed. This is a public holiday. This is Salah. I was amazed. It has not been this bad before. Yes, we heard things were bad, but seeing it now. So our economy is really down. Factories are closing. So what we need to do, we need to increase. Of course, we cannot do all this alone. Government needs to show that political will. Because for me, it's not going to beg foreign investors and telling them to come. Once they see the right environment, like we say in the capital market, capital knows where to go. And in personal finance, we're talking of money. When money is in the hands of those who take care of it very well, money will replicate, money will multiply and bring more money for you. They just need to be taken care of properly. So our business environment here has to be improved. Not when somebody is coming to set up a business, there is a whole lot of bureaucracy, bribery and corruption here and there. And of course, government has to play that role. You don't just make statements and say certain things at the end of the day. We are not seeing it on ground. So we need to take back our economy, all of us. And if we believe that a particular government ministry or minister is not doing what they are supposed to do, we should continue to speak. So that, because when the country is good, it will benefit everybody. But these days, I see a lot of young Nigerians, you know, middle class people, any little more money they make is Canada. And I'm asking myself that question. I'm not saying people should not go abroad, get experience and come back, but they are telling you they are not coming back. And it was people who build those environments or society they are all rushing to. Okay. So what happened? Why can't we sit down in the country here, do what we are expected to do, and ensure that we take back our country and improve it economically?
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Yes, take back our country. That's quite interesting, actually. It's giving a certain American president's vibes, actually, when you say take back our country. But yes, I understand you totally. Yes, we as citizens, how patriotic are we actually? How invested are we in the good of the country? How considerate are we of others? How much love do we have for this country that we want to see it grow and progress to the next level? Not just, like you rightfully said, when we have sufficient cash at hand and we're thinking, okay, now this is the right time to abandon ship. Okay, so just before we round up the show, Dr. Robert Ungu, I just want to ask you this final question now. Are you with us, Doctor?
Yes, I am.
Yes, so you heard what Mr. Charles in the studio said. Yes, we definitely need to actually keep this growth, sustain this growth for our economy, actually. And then what certain structural changes that are needed in the country. Yes, he also mentioned how patriotic we, the citizens, need to be to achieve this also. And apart from that, when the government says certain things now, theory is different from practice. You might come out and say something, but is it being done in practice, actually? How do we sustain this current situation with our Naira? How do we ensure that it doesn't rise beyond a certain amount? And then it also attracts more foreign investment into the country. Mr. Charles mentioned that capital knows where to go, which is very key, actually, in this situation. So what steps would you encourage our government to take to actually show that they are listening to the citizens, they understand what the citizens are going through, and then to discourage more people from just taking the route of, okay, this country is not working for me, I need to leave immediately? Because a country that has its citizens encouraging local production, the government also promoting local production, you will see that more citizens want to stay in that country as opposed to, I have small money or I have sufficient money, let me quickly leave the country now. So Dr. Robert?
Okay, so Nigeria has the right environment to attract foreign direct investments. You have the market. Everybody around the world is thinking about the same thing. How do we ship our products to Nigeria? We should not be looking at products shipped to Nigeria. As a country, we have to go out of our way to ensure that we increase our local production. There are other things in place that Nigeria can take advantage of. There is what you call African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. This act is supposed to help you to increase shipping of export of goods and services around Africa, tariff-free. That is what it's supposed to be. We have a problem of satisfying local demand. But if we start increasing our manufacturing base, we will not only satisfy the local market, we'll also export to earn foreign currency. If you don't earn foreign currency, your dollar will continue going down. Oil, we lose like a lot of our oil is lost on transit, either locally or internationally. So we must use science and technology to ensure that we track every single item of oil that we produce, because this is what is bringing us currency right now. Our foreign reserve is purely based on these oil sales. And if we cannot account for more than 50% of our oil sales, you can see automatically it's affecting the strength of our currency based on our foreign reserve. And so the current administration is working hard to ensure that science and technology is used to make sure that these production is tracked, so that every single item of oil that is produced is also accounted for, and is sold and is also accounted for. These are very important steps. Then you look at the area of the national security. To attract investors, investors don't go they don't go places where things are insecure. Yes, where there is insecurity increases.
You share your thoughts on the economy. So that's our time this morning on Market Insights as we discuss these issues affecting the economy, particularly one which has been ongoing since the beginning of this year, the current sale of the naira against the dollar, how it's affecting goods and businesses. And surprisingly enough, you go to the local markets and those market men and women will tell you it's because of the price of the dollar. But right now, it's not going to be like that anymore. So we're grateful to all our contributors and our guests for today's show. And I am your host, Lavina Emma. So thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for watching SOUQ News Television. Stay tuned to the next program on SOUQ News Television.